Welcome to Empowered by AI, the podcast for women entrepreneurs ready to harness AI to take their businesses to the next level. I'm your host, Michelle Muncie Silva, founder of Innovative AI Studios. You may have left corporate life to start this entrepreneurial journey, but you don't have to go it alone. Here, you'll find a supportive community of like-minded women and an invaluable thought partner each week, as my guests and I share actionable insights you can use right away. So let's dive in together. All right, Diana, I'm so glad to get to speak with you today. This has been a long time coming, and I'm excited that it's here.
Really has. Thanks so much for having me, Michelle.
I am really looking forward to you introducing yourself to everyone, letting them know a little bit about you, and then diving in. So please let us know a little bit about your background.
Absolutely. Let's do it. So my name is Dajana Achelpohl. I am based in Ireland, where I've been now for over nearly 24 or 5 years, so a long time anyway. I'm originally from Germany, but I've lived in Ireland now for many years and spent most of my time in Ireland actually working for big tech companies. I worked for Google twice and then for PayPal a bit in between. And now for the last year or so, I've stepped away from that big tech, big corporate, and I'm running my own business, AI Changemaker.
I love it. And that's so many of our listeners have left behind industry. They've left behind corporate. They're taking on entrepreneurial tasks and they're wanting to know more about how AI can help them out. And I know you've said that AI isn't just a tool. You've argued that it reshapes roles, decisions, workflows. And I can't think of a more timely moment as now Agent is getting all of this attention in Chat GPT. So can you expand on why you think that distinction matters for women, especially as they're adopting AI?
Yeah, I think just seeing AI as another tool, as another bit of tech, is really underestimating the impact that it's going to have or already has on all of our work. So I come across this scenario quite a bit where I work with people who say to me, we've bought the tool, we have the AI tool. Quite often it's something like Microsoft Copilot or something else. We have it, we spent the money, but nothing is happening. Nobody's using it. We were expecting this amazing impact from it, but there doesn't seem to be anything. Is it all just hype? Is AI not really a thing? And that's really when I come back to AI not just being a tool and having that conversation with people and saying, yeah, but how do you think about AI? And what do you want it to do? Have you thought about how it's going to change the way you currently do work, how your teams work with each other, what they spend their time on, what you value, etc.? And that's really when I see people getting value out of AI. So to me, it's really important to fully acknowledge and engage with everything that AI changes in how you work and how you see your workflows in order to get value of that. So I think it's often really important to have that conversation first before you jump into buying the tool. Not a big fan of spending the money and then thinking about what you actually want to do with that tool after.
It does feel a little backwards, doesn't it? But
Yeah.
we've seen it, we've experienced it. A lot of us are guilty of that rush and, oh, this looks exciting. And
Yeah.
but now what? Yeah. So I'm wondering, after, as you mentioned, working for those tech giants, what inspired you to launch AI Changemaker?
Yeah, so this really comes from my own struggle. So I obviously had worked with AI, more traditional AI, for many years in Google before Gen AI came around. And there was always the need to engage with an engineering team to do anything with AI because we weren't a technical team, so we didn't have the technical capabilities to do it. So I was so excited about Gen AI. This was going to be it now. Me and the team were going to be able to do all of these amazing things ourselves. And then it was a complete disaster, Michelle. I was so keen on AI and I couldn't make it work. And then when I took a step back and looked at it, it became clear to me that the reason why it didn't work was that I didn't have a clear use case. I hadn't thought about how AI would actually change the way we work. And worst of all, I didn't bring my team along. My team was actually not excited about AI at all because I hadn't explained to them why I thought it was a good idea. If anything, they were worried that it might take away their jobs, what it might mean for them, etc. So that's really where it all started, that I had tried and failed to make AI work. And that's really when eventually I got it to work after working through all of these things. And that's really where, through conversations with other leaders, I realized this is a common struggle. I think many, especially non-technical leaders, are being told, make this AI thing work. And then there's very little support for them. And they're always because, what does it actually mean? What can I do? I'm not an engineer. How can I get really on board with this AI thing? And that's really where I saw that gap that I had experienced myself, where I didn't feel very supported. I didn't know what to do. So I really want to try and help others get there faster and not having to go through all that process that I had to go through.
And you didn't stop there. I noticed in a recent post, you've recently become certified in AI governance.
Yeah.
And I love how open you were about your struggle with that process. What has shifted for you in your understanding through going through all of that?
As I went through that, yeah. So AI governance, I was interested in it pretty much from the get-go with AI, because I really saw the need. Obviously, AI is so big, it's so powerful, so many things that it can do, but also so many things that can go wrong. So clearly there's a need for clarity, for responsibilities, for some sort of guardrails. So I was always interested in it and wanted to learn more about it. And eventually then decided to make a commitment to take this certification. So I signed up for it. I did the trainings. And in my first session, it was basically me, and everybody else seemed to be a privacy expert or a lawyer. So this was like a completely different environment for me. That's not the background that I come from. The teams that I would have worked with and Google and Paper would have been sales, marketing, operations teams. So like a completely new language for me. So I had to really learn a lot of new concepts, a lot of new things. And I had shared it on LinkedIn recently as well. I actually failed the first exam for this certificate, and really considered if I should just pack it in, because it all seemed just way too complicated. But I decided not to, and I stuck with it, and I'm glad that I did. So I eventually did pass. Do have the certificate now, but what it really gave me was an appreciation what actually all is part of AI governance, what it entails, why it is so important. And I think many people, when they hear AI governance, go like, is that really something you want to engage with? It's often seen as something that actually stops innovation, something that sort of puts boundaries on people that otherwise could go out there and do great things. But to me, it's just so important to have these clear guardrails. And I've seen it, I'm sure you've seen it, you hear it from time to time, where people actually, where things go terribly wrong with AI, where data is being shared that shouldn't be shared out there, where there's big mistakes that come from AI and that are then just used and work. So I think AI governance sometimes seems very scary, but what really it is to me is to have these clear guidelines. What do we use AI for? What do we not use AI for? And I think that's something that's really powerful for teams as well, because then they have those guardrails. They know where it is okay to operate, because I often also see teams that are actually a bit paralyzed and they don't know what's okay, what's not okay. So I think it's important to tell them what they can do, what they can't do. I think there's a big bit there about promoting transparency and accountability around AI. So being transparent around AI use. We are using AI. This is why we're using it. This is how we're using it. And this is the accountability behind it. If something goes wrong, this is actually who's taking accountability for it. And then there's an element of like continuous learning and adapting as you go. So for me, that's really what AI governance boils down to. And I think it is really key. And I think it's something that we all have to engage with sooner or later. I'm based in Europe. We obviously have the EU AI Act that is making us engage with a lot of these things. I know elsewhere in the world there's different models, but it's definitely something that everybody is thinking about. So I think no matter how big or small your organization is, having some basic AI governance in place from the get-go is just going to be such a win for everybody. It's going to set you up for more success with AI. And once whatever the law situation in your country is regulated, you're going to be much further than other companies if you've already started thinking about it from the get-go. So yeah, I'm a big fan now of AI governance. I wouldn't want to study for that test ever again, though. I'm glad.
Are you scarred?
Yeah.
Emotionally traumatized? And I think you bring up a really good point because for our government in the United States, for example, we're seeing that they are saying, okay, no, individual states are not going to be making individual governance on this. It is the hope of many that there will be federal guidelines in place. But I think part of what you bring up is as a point in the counter argument to that is that, oh, we don't want to stifle innovation. But at the same time, you're running the risk, I think, of AI adoption that is skipping a lot of these foundational steps. And is governance the step that you think is most overlooked, or is there something else you think when someone is considering adoption?
I think governance is definitely up there. I think there's a few other things. We already talked about all the change that is involved. So I think that the change story for you and your team, why are you doing this? How are you going to do this? What does the future look like? I think that's another big thing. I think that one thing that I see is often overlooked, and I wonder, do you see this as well, is that we are often very unclear of what success looks like. So I hear a lot of people that are using AI, and when I ask them, and how is it going? Is it doing what you wanted it to do? They are like, I'm not sure, because people forget to actually set out those key performance indicators. What do you actually want? Do you want to get time back? Like, what do you want? I think it seems so basic and it's easy to forget. And as you mentioned earlier, of course, we're all super excited about AI and we want to try out these cool new things. And yes, we should. But if we invest significant amounts of time and potentially budgets into this, we need to know what success looks like. So to me, that would be another one that I often see that is being overlooked.
I love that you bring that up because it's really, to me, I'll hear everything from, I tried this prompt and I didn't like the output, so it doesn't work, to, oh, I saved a ton of time, but now I'm just filling that time with other things. So I feel like I'm on a hamster wheel. Like, do you have a rubric in place where you're gauging what success is? And are you training both it and I think yourself to rethink in this new environment? So it's, am I allowing myself to bring forward more creativity? And that was what I really wanted. Am I providing feedback and iterating with the tools that I'm using? There's this whole new shift, I think, that people aren't necessarily considering because I'm used to a world where it's Google, I type in my request, I get my answer, I move on.
Yes.
And we can't look at the tools this way. We have to iterate.
Totally agree. Yeah, that's a really good point. I think it's not a one and done, that this is a process that you're entering in and there is going to be that iteration, that change. And I think there's also a thing that is very powerful is to say, no, this is not working and AI is not working for this particular use case. Because that's also something that I feel very strongly about. AI isn't the right tool or the right solution for everything. And everybody obviously wants to make AI work at the moment, but I think it's also really powerful to hear we tried AI for this and it is not working. And this is why. So I think we're all on a journey there to really figure out how to do this and how to make this work.
Yes. And I love that you bring that up because I was just reading an article the other day about a company that let go a lot of people and ended up hiring them right back because they realized they were getting so many complaints from the tools that they were trying to use that, oh, no, they're not ready yet. So I'm
Absolutely.
wondering,
Might have been Klarna, right, who did this in their customer service.
that was one of a couple. Like, yes, yes. And so I'm really wondering, as people work with either their personal business or with their small business, what are some of those mindset shifts that people need to make to become AI ready? What are
Yeah.
these blind spots that you find you're helping them navigate again and again?
So what I often see, especially with solopreneurs or small companies, is that they are either using a lot of AI, they're using like multiple AI tools, or they haven't started yet. And it both comes back to me to that starting point, to the ones who have all of these tools. And I'm like that myself, right? I see a cool new AI tool and I want to try it and I want to do it. But then you end up having these 20 AI tools on the go, having subscriptions for some of them. And again, it comes back to, is this actually bringing me any value? Is this actually saving time? So to those people, I would say, okay, let's go back to the drawing board and let's talk about what is the problem or the opportunity you are going to address. And I do say the same thing to the people who don't know where to start yet. So to me, it's always starting as the problem, the opportunity that you want to address with AI as a first step. And like a real life problem or opportunity, right? Something that's in your business already, not something that you're making up for the sake of using a fancy AI tool. And then after that, let's look at if AI might be a good solution for that. And I usually ask people, is it time consuming? Is it repetitive? Is there an element there of where there's a lot of judgment required? If yes, then AI might not be the right thing to go. And is it fairly safe to get it wrong? And if we identify something like that, which is often quite small, right? This doesn't have to be anything big, but it's often that regular report somebody is drawing, summarizing content that you have or writing content. If we have something like that, then great. Let's start there. Let's use AI for that. Let's identify an AI tool and let's find a free AI tool. I put one that you already have. There's so many AI tools that we all have already. If we're using Office, we probably have Copilot in there. If we're using the Google Office suite, then we're going to have Gemini. There's so many things which people already have at their fingertips, right? ChatGPT, many of us have already. So I'm always trying to find a real problem that is AI suitable and then a free tool or something that you already have. And then let's set up what does success look like and let's work on that first, right? And I love to see something small. Like I worked with somebody recently who said, okay, if I could save 2 hours a week and I didn't have to do this thing anymore and AI could do it for me, that would be a win. That's amazing, right? And then you get to those 2 hours and that then shows you, okay, this works. So now I might consider paying for this tool. I might consider rolling this out to other people in my organization if it's more than just you, or I might tackle the next thing. So I think it's really important to work through it that way and to not just throw the kitchen sink of AI tools and hope that something will stick. So that's often what I work through with solopreneurs or with small businesses, really finding that first real use case and going through it and then growing from there.
It sounds like backwards mapping is the
Yes.
key to that. Okay. Okay. And I know you've worked across multiple industries. You've worked with multiple types of teams. I'm wondering if you can maybe put together for us, is there a certain scenario where you get okay, this is going to be successful? Is there a certain recipe that you see that exists and what makes them different? What makes that successful?
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously there's some industries and some sectors that have additional difficulty that are highly regulated, etc. So I'm going to put all of them out of that. But I think in general, it's really how teams learn and share. Where when you get to know a group and that they're open, they're curious, there is a culture where people can say, I don't know, and somebody helps them to explain. Where there is continuous learning going on. People share what works and very importantly, what does not work. And that's being celebrated and encouraged. I think that continuous learning and having that already embedded in your team and how you do things is often, to me, a very good indicator, that AI could land well. Because if you are in a scenario where there's a lot of hierarchy, there is a fear of getting things wrong or falling behind or admitting that you don't know something, that I feel is not a good starting point for AI. And what I often come across is that people at this stage now are nearly afraid to admit that they do not know certain things about AI. Because it's been around now for a while, depending what industry you're in, people feel that they should know things. And they will not admit that they do not know. And I think that's really important to acknowledge that and to find like a baseline in teams where We don't all need to be AI experts, and you're always going to have a few who are like super keen and know a lot, and that's amazing. Let's use them as like ambassadors. Use them to help others. But I think finding that baseline in a team where we all have a basic understanding of how AI works, what it can do, what it can't do, how we use AI together, what we have decided as a team, how we're going to use AI. I often do something called like an AI team charter, where teams like literally just agree, this is what we as a team are going to use AI for. This is how we are going to learn. This is how we're going to come together. Then I think that's often like a really good starting point to have success with it.
That sounds like quite the utopia.
You never find one that's perfect, but glimpses, and then you can work with it. And obviously, you also need to AI in itself is not anybody's work, very few people's work. So if you come into a team, you can't say, and now we're going to spend 5 hours every week for all of you to do this AI thing, right? AI isn't a thing you do. It should be how you get things done that you are already doing. So I think trying to figure out how we can actually integrate AI into existing workflows and how work is done is so important.
Yeah.
Nobody has the time to just spend days a week on just doing AI on a regular basis. Yes.
No, that's so true. That's so true. So if there's someone that's just beginning, they're on their AI journey, if you will, with their particular business, what challenge would you put before them? Throw down the gauntlet. What's one small but maybe powerful change that you think they could make to set themselves up for sustainable success?
Yeah, I think there's two things probably. I think finding some time in your week to learn a bit more about those AI basics, like the AI literacy, if you want to call it that. I think that's something that's going to be so valuable. And again, when people are not technical by nature, they don't see themselves as technical. I'm not technical either. They're often going to go, oh, I don't want to learn how to program. Don't want to know how all of these things work. And I completely understand that. Like, you do not need to become a complete technical expert, but I think having a basic understanding of how AI works, how it does certain things, why it's good at some things, really bad at other things. I think that's a really useful knowledge to have. And I think there's really good, some of them free training courses out there where you could learn that, investing a few hours to do that. So I think that's one good thing, like commit to having that baseline understanding of AI. And then the second thing is, I guess, find your first use case. Find something, as we had said a couple of times now, find a genuine problem in your work or genuine opportunity that you want to solve with AI. Identify how much time you want to save or whatever it is you want to do, and try out those AI tools. For me, a lot of work with AI is getting hands-on. I work with a lot of non-technical leaders and managers who talk a lot about AI, but who feel that they are frauds because they've never done AI. And I think it's hard with AI to get away with that, to talk about it, especially if you might have a senior leadership team that tells you need to do AI. And then we are pushing that AI narrative without even understanding AI ourselves. I think it's so important to get your hands dirty with AI, to try things out, and also to be quite open and honest about that. So to share with your team or whoever is working around you to say, I've tried this, it's not working, or I tried this and it's working well. And I think through that, you're going to learn so much, and it's going to build such a foundation for you. And you're obviously also going to earn that credibility with your team or also with your leadership team. One of the things about AI is that if it's only being led by tech teams, by the IT department, it often fails because they're having trouble identifying how work is actually getting done and where AI can slot in. So I think, again, if you have those skills, if you know about AI, then you can identify the use case, and that will get you a seat at that senior leadership table, right? Where you can now be the person that says, I have identified this. I know why this is a problem, and I know that AI could do it. Listen to what I'm saying. So I think dedicating that little bit of time a week to learn a bit about AI and to get your hands dirty would be that one challenge that I would set somebody.
I'm so grateful to have heard this from you and to be able to have this discussion with you. So thank you so much for being willing to hang out with us for a bit and share your experience, because I really do think it helps when we hear from women that are doing the work right now. Just as you said, it helps us so much to be able to learn from you.
Thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you for tuning in to Empowered by AI. If today's episode sparked ideas, don't wait. Follow the link in the show notes to visit innovativeaistudio.com and download your free resource, created to help you put today's insights into practice. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on future episodes packed with more tips, tools, and inspiring stories. Until next time, stay empowered and keep innovating.